everyone, welcome to Hot Cocoa Crochet, and today we are going to be working on some dish scrubbies. Now this video may seem a little slow because I do want to take my time showing all the steps, because I do have a couple of people who are learning to crochet that are from my workplace. So this video is to not only to show others out there how to crochet dish scrubbies, but for my coworkers as well, because I know that one of them has brought up a concern that people tend to go a little too fast for them, even when it comes down to the very basic start, which is like the slip knot and the chain. So I will be making a video just for that, for beginners, to help them learn how to crochet. But I know the other one is wanting to learn how to do dish scrubbies. Now they've already done pretty well from what they have shown me, but I figured I would show them my technique on how to do a dish scrubby, because I know from the videos that I've seen, others will use a chain system for the start and then work their first round into the chains. But for mine, I actually use a magic circle. So if you are a beginner and you are just starting to learn, this video will hopefully help you learn different stitches and to also learn how to make a nice dish scrubbies. So dish scrubbies, crocheted ones at least, are actually very nice because, let's face it, they're a lot better than the store-bought sponges. And not only that, but they can last a really long time. But anyways, I will let you know what you need for this tutorial. Now, you can get a tool that is it's about 6 inches long. It's on a roll. You can get them from Walmart. But what I do is I actually get what's called nylon netting. And the nylon netting has a rougher texture that's better suited for dish scrubbing. Now, if you want something softer, that's when I would recommend the tool. And if you don't know what the nylon netting looks like, it looks like this. As you can see, the holes are a lot bigger, and you will find this in the fabric department. Now at Walmart, this is 97 cents per yard. And every yard that you get, you can get 2 dish scrubbies. So keep that in mind. Now for me, I personally buy 5 yards at a time. So I get at least 10 scrubbies, and I'm left with a little bit left over that you can use as sort of like a scrap, that you can use to make like a scrap scrubby. But anyways, and what I do is I keep it folded like you would get it on the bolt, and I cut it into 6 strips. The strips will measure out to be between 2 and 3 inches long, as you saw from this here. Don't worry about it being too even. You just don't want it to be too thin. For example, if it was only the width of like maybe an inch and a half, it's going to be a little too thin, in my opinion, in order to get a nice size scrubby. So when you go get the nylon netting, make sure to get at least a yard, and then cut it into 6 strips. And then for your size hook, you're going to want a 6mm hook, or a J hook. As you might be able to see, I do have some wear and tear because this hook has been going crazy when it comes down to crocheting these. I specifically use this hook just for my scrubbies. And then you're also going to need a smaller hook. It really doesn't matter on size. I just have a 3.75mm hook or a F hook. This is just to pull in the last end of your scrubby to get it into the inside. And the way that these scrubbies are built is you make 2 separate sides, and then we slip stitch them together. And at the end there will be a little strand that we will pull through and leave it in the center. But anyways, let's get started on this tutorial. So to begin your scrubby, you're going to want to take your nylon netting You're going to place it just like this. Now take 2 fingers, and what you're going to do, you want to keep the strand tight, you don't want to lose it, is wrap it right over, just once. And to better show you, I'll do it like this, so that way you can see the 2 separate strands. And what you're going to do is, you're going to pinch them together. Now don't let go, you want to keep them just like that. And there you have the magic circle. But to secure the magic circle, what you're going to do is you're going to take your hook, your 6mm hook, you're going to put it right through the circle. And here you will have your working strand right here. And what you want to do is, when you have your hook through to secure it, make sure that working strand is behind your hook. And yarn over. And then you're going to use your hook to pull that strand. Make sure you don't let go. And there you have that one single loop. And what you're going to do to secure it is you're going to yarn over again with your working strand. Now you got 2 loops. And with those 2 loops, you're going to take this one strand and you're going to pull it through this second loop. And then just kind of tighten it a little bit. And there you have it secured. Now you still don't want to let go just yet. And now we're going to start with chain 2. So chain 2 is just basically doing what we just did, except you're not really tightening it. You're going to yarn over. You're going to have the 2 loops on your hook. You're going to take that first loop and pull it through the other. And then you want to do it again. Yarn over and pull through a loop. And there you have 2 chains. Now this does not count for what we call a double crochet, which is what we're going to be working with for the first round is double crochets. So what you want to do for a double crochet is you're going to yarn over and you're going to put your hook through the circle once again. And you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull that through the circle. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook. And then we're going to yarn over. And you're going to take this loop right at the hook and you're only going to pull through 2 loops. So there's the first loop and then the second loop. Now you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through the last 2 loops on your hook. And that is what we call a double crochet. Now I will be leaving text terms on my video so that way for those who want to be able to learn like the symbols, and by the way this is US terms, to learn the symbols in case they ever read a pattern, they'll be able to understand what that term means. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing 12 double crochets in total. And like I said, this first chain 2 does not count as a double crochet. Now I'll go over the double crochet again, just in case. This time I'm going to probably go a little bit faster. If you need to look it over once again, just rewind the video. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the circle, pull, yarn over and pull through the circle, yarn over. You'll have 4 loops on the hook, and you're only going to take this loop and pull through 2. So you'll have 2 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through those last 2. Now I got 2 double crochet. Now we're yarn over, insert into the magic circle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And there's 3. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you have 12 of them. And make sure you keep count. Now once I get closer to the end, I'll show you a way to actually make sure that you got the number that you need, because sometimes that chain 2 can throw you off and you'll end up miscounting. Alright, so I'm going to count my double crochets real quick, and the way that you want to count them is you're going to count them based on this little post right here. I'll take my small crochet hook just to show you this post. And make sure you don't count the chain 2. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I need 2 more, since I need 12 in total. So here's 11 and 12. So now that you have 12 double crochet, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take this end strand and you're going to pull it. I'm sorry if my camera shakes. I know my camera isn't the most sturdy on this desk. But don't pull too hard or else you may possibly rip the netting, and you don't want to rip it because you're going to want that end. And just get that hole closed as much as possible, and it should look like that. Now before we move on, and this is just my way of securing to make sure the magic circle doesn't loosen, you're going to knot as close as possible to the end. And I prefer to knot about 2 to 3 times just to make sure. Usually you would weave the ends in, but I feel that this is easier, and it's also going to be hidden once we make the other side and put the 2 sides together. And there is the knot. Now to continue on to this scrubby, what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet. So you're going to ignore this chain 2. You're going to look for that first V, or that first post, to make it easier. So look for that first post and go into the stitch right above it. You're going to want to make sure you go through both loops. As you can see, this V has 2 loops. I know sometimes in patterns they'll ask you to either go into the front loop, the back loop, or both loops. In this case, we're going to be crocheting into both loops all throughout the scrubby. Now in order to slip stitch, you yarn over, you're going to pull through that stitch, and you're not going to yarn over again. You're going to pull that loop straight through the other one as well, and you have it slip stitched. Now you are going to chain 1, so yarn over and pull through that loop. Don't tighten it, you want to leave that loop there. And now we're going to be working on half double crochets. Now for the half double crochets, we're going to be putting 2 of them in each stitch. So right now we have 12 double crochets, and if we put 2 half double crochets in each one, you're going to end up with 24 half double crochets. And to make a half double crochet, and by the way, we are working into that stitch that we just slip stitched in. So don't skip over to the next one. Make sure you're staying into that very first stitch. So you have 1 loop on the hook. You are going to yarn over. You're going to insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and you'll have 3 loops on the hook. Now yarn over once again, and unlike the double crochet, you're not gonna just pull it through the first 2, you're actually gonna pull it through all 3 loops. So once you yarn over, you're gonna pull through 1, 2, and 3. Oop, netting got a little loose. So there's my 3, yarn over, and pull through. That is a half double crochet. And since we need 2, we're going to have to make another one in that first stitch. So yarn over, go into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, make sure you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And then you're going to go into every single stitch, and if you want to make sure that you have all of the half double crochets that you need, just make sure you count the V stitches at the top and make sure you have 24. Now I'll go through it again with you for this next stitch, and then I will speed up the video to get to the end. So yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, yarn over, insert into same stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now let's go ahead and go all the way around. Alright, all I have left is 1 more half double crochet. So I'm going to do that last half double crochet. And don't confuse this stitch as another one, because I know you would probably see that V stitch and you're going to think it's a stitch, but it's not. And just to go back, just count your stitches to make sure you have 24. And once you do that, you're going to get to this point, and I have already made one side just to show you this part. So for one side, the very first one that you do, you're going to insert into that first half double crochet stitch. Make sure you don't confuse that first chain. You're going to go to the first stitch and you're going to go through both loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 2 loops on the hook, and you're slip stitching, so you don't need to yarn over again. You're going to pull that through the other loop as well. And then what you do, you would chain, and basically at this point you would snip it off and pull it through. And just to show you, because I know some of you may be a visual learner like me, I'm going to undo this real quick. Don't undo yours, but I'm leaving it just like this because I'm going to use this for the second side and how you would continue on. So as you can see here, I have one side done. This is your working strand. You would insert into that first half double crochet stitch. Make sure you go through both loops. Yarn over, pull through the stitch, and pull through that loop on your hook. So you're left with one loop on the hook. You are going to chain 1. And then that's when you would cut off from the netting and you would pull it through. And you're going to tighten it by just pulling. Now don't pull too hard because you don't want it to rip. And there you go. You've safened it off, and that is going to be your first side. Now you may pause the video here so that way you can go ahead. You're going to make this one more time because you're going to need a second one, but you're not going to fasten off like you did for the first one. And to continue on with this scrubby, the best way to do it is you're not going to slip stitch exactly, but you are going to insert your hook into the very first half double crochet stitch. Make sure you got it right in there. And then you're going to take your other side. Now, as you can see, we have the side with the end, which it seems I forgot to make a knot, so let me do that real quick. But there's always going to be a right side and a wrong side. And the wrong side is going to have that strand from the beginning. And the wrong sides are going to be put together. So, and you're gonna want to make sure that you take this end as well, and it's going to stay tucked inside. So make sure you have your hook like this. You're going to keep it like this. And the way that I like to do it, right where we tied off, there is that stitch right there. I don't know if you can see that hole. Can you see it? You're going to insert your hook into that space. Now make sure the strands are tucked inside. You're going to take your working strand, make sure you have it separated. And you're going to slip knot all the way around. So now that you have the two sides together on the hook, you're going to yarn over. You're going to pull through. You're going to have 2 loops on the hook, and just like every other slip knot, you're going to take that first loop and you're going to pull it through. And you're not going to tighten it. You don't want it to be too tightened. Now we're going to be working on to the next stitch. You're going to insert your hook into that next stitch. And then you also want to put it through the next stitch on the other side. Now you want to make sure you're putting it through the right one. So if you need to, pull it back just to double check. But you're going to look for that very next V-stitch. And another way to determine if you're going into the right one, you look for where that working strand is. The working strand should be right before the next one. So in this case, you could see it's in this hole. You're going to go into that very next one. So insert your hook into that next strand, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop. Insert into the next stitch. Look to see where your working yarn is. Move on to the next one and make sure your hook goes through that stitch as well. Yarn over, pull through, and pull through that loop. Now you're going to continue on, and I'll meet you back when we only have a couple slip stitches to go. Or actually, I'm also going to show you a trick because as you can see, there is a knot. And with the knots, you want to do it a certain way to the point where it's also going to get hidden on the inside. You don't want to leave it on the outside. So let's work all the way up until that knot, because when you tie your strands together, when you do this nylon netting, you're going to want to hide these, and it works for either way, even when you're working with one side. Let's say if you get it when you're doing a double crochet, you want to make sure the knot ends up on the wrong side of your scrubby. So I'm going to slip stitch to the knot. In this case, you also want to look to see how much room you have. For me, there's a little bit too little space for when I first get it through. So what I want to do is, and it's okay to do this, you're going to pull that knot through. Make sure you got all those ends inside. Close it shut, just like that. You're going to have your 2 loops on here. Make sure the knot's not coming through. And you're going to pull that first loop through the second, and there is a slip knot. Move on to the next one. And there you go. Your knot is hidden within the work. Now we shall continue on until the very last 2, and then I'll show you how to continue on from there. Alright, so I only have a couple more to go. So I'm going to insert into that next one, do a slip knot, into this next one, slip knot. At this point, you've pretty much slip knot all the way around. Now, just to make sure, this very first slip knot, you can tell where the slip knots are just because of the fact that you'll see that there's like a sideways V. So when you're looking straight at it, usually you'd see the V on the top, but here you only see it on the side. So that's where you know that you've reached the end of your slip stitches. I know it may be hard to see, but just look for that V. And the next thing you want to do is you're actually going to take your hook, and since the V is sideways, you're going to put your hook right through the side of that slip stitch, the very first one. You're going to yarn over, pull through that loop, and then we're going to end up tying off. So you're going to yarn over, pull through. It seems I forgot my scissors, so let me go grab my scissors real quick. So I got my scissors, and you're going to cut it off. So that leaves a strand. And you're going to pull it right through and tighten it up. Remember not to pull too tight. Now, as you can see, now we're left with this strand, and you may be wondering how to hide it, and that's where the smaller hook comes in. So you want to take your smaller hook, and what I like to do is I like to determine where it is directly across from. You're going to take your strand, kind of figure out where it comes across, and you're going to go right through the side. Now, if you find that a spot is being difficult, kind of move on a little bit farther, like into the next spot over, so that way you're not really struggling to put it through. Now, once you get your hook in, you want to maneuver it, and you kind of want to get it to where it's right in the space here where this knot is. I know sometimes it can be a little tricky because you're looking for a space to come through, and sometimes that netting does get in the way. Let me me see if I can get it through. There we go. So there you can see I have my hook all the way through. And then you're going to take this end here. You're going to want to put it right on that hook. And make sure it's nice and tight so that way you're able to pull it. And you may find a spot where you get hooked and it starts struggling. Don't worry. Just try to do the best you can. And if it's long enough, it'll pull right through. And now you just kind of want to move it around, massage it, so that way it smooths it out. And there you can see the end was tucked in. You're going to take your scissors and you're going to snip off that little bit. Now you can always, if it is like you only got a short little bit, you can also take the other end of your hook, the little blunt end, and kind of push the end inside. But when it has a long strip like this, I just go ahead and I snip it off. But that is how you make a dish scrubby. And the best part about these is they're actually relatively cheap. Because like I said before, you only need 1 yard to make 2. And since it's 97 cents per yard, if you get the nylon knitting from Walmart, it basically only costs about 50 cents to make each of them. And if you're looking for something small to put in a craft show, this is a great seller. People love crocheted scrubbies. But anyways, if you guys like this tutorial, let me know. I'm sorry if I went slow for some of you, but I did feel that I need to take the time for beginners who might be out there looking for small projects that they can work on. Anyways, and as I said before, I will be making a video for beginners based on from the very start of how to make a slip knot to the chain, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. But thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have fun making scrubbies as well.